Welcome back to the Piping Pastor. I am back from my most recent ministry trip out into the wilderness. So, about a 2 week trip, and again, great ministry being done. Difficult circumstances makes ministry easy. Gotta check my light there. I haven't been here for 2 weeks, so as far as I know, the battery could have burned out. But on my way home, I stopped through Tucson, and I hit that little pipe cigar shop that I mentioned to you before. And the last time I was in Tucson, which was a couple of months ago, was it? I picked up some Billy Bud, and I didn't discover until I got back to my room that it had 2 years of age on it. I was like, oh, bonus, nice. So I went there this time, and I got this. This is Cornell and Deal Engine Number 99, and I've never had it before, but just reading the description sounded like something I would like. And so once again, I got home and noticed, oh, wait, yeah, this one also has 2 years of age on it. So um, I don't know if their supplier is just giving them old stock out of the warehouse. Because as far as I know, stuff's not just sitting there for 2 years on the shelf. It's mainly a cigar shop, but there's still some pipe smokers in there. And I can't imagine them keeping something on the shelf at 2 years plus. Especially because they had some of the newer stuff there. They had the new Balkan. So I was like, well, you know what? Hey, it's a bonus again. So I've never had this before. This is, according to the label here, a full-bodied blend with enough Latakia to pull Old 99 up a mountain grade with flavor to spare. Engine number 99, yeah, steam engine, I suppose. Loaded with Latakia, Perique, Virginias, Burleys, and Orientals. So it's kind of a kitchen sink blend. But I'm a big fan of Latakia, and I love Burley Virginia mixes. So as long as the Orientals and the Perique stay condimental, then I think we're fine. But this will be my first time trying it, so trying it with you. And you can tell, I mean, you can't really tell. Camera doesn't really tell. There's a little bit of a bulge there. So, we'll see. I'll open it next to the mic here and see if there's a little hiss. A little bit, yeah. All right. All right. Oh, wow. Got hit with those Virginias like right off the bat, not even leaning in. Okay. Okay, yep. Okay, wow. You know, this is really nice. It's, see a look there, a lot of bright and dark, but it's tin note wise. The first thing you get is that sweet, like vinegary smell from like the red Virginia, and then there's like a lot of Kia behind it. And normally a lot of Kias, especially when they say there's enough Latakia to pull the engine up the hill, you would assume that there'd be a heavy degree of Latakia. But honestly, the Latakia doesn't come through first. Well, this I'm really rather excited to try. So, moisture content, it's drier than I would have thought as well. But so, in any case, I'll get this loaded up in a pipe, and we'll be back and see what we think. And we are back. Not trying to horn in on Bean's territory using his terminology, but the rare occasions where I do first taste reviews, I like to go through the whole experience. So, let's see. Nothing really popping on the char light. So smoking this in the Peterson Lestrade. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm getting a heavy dose of Latakia on this. Not like Lap Bomb. It's kind of taking over the other flavors. But the last thing I smoked in this was Haunted Pirate Ship. So There may be some ghosting there. There's ghosting there. I mean, there's no maybe about it. There's ghosting there. So we'll see. Give it about 10 or 15 minutes. We'll see if some of those start coming out. But I'm getting lucky. I'm getting a little of the Virginia and a Burley, so it kind of tastes like a Virginia Burley blend with Latakia in it. I'm not getting any Perique Orientals. There's nothing real floral or peppery about this. Okay. On the Retrohale, of course, you get some Orientals, which is normally where they hit. Still no Perique, though. I mean, this would, speaking of beans, this would not be a blend for him, I would not think. It's pretty good, though. I mean, it's, good for a one time. It's kind of like Billy Bud, honestly. I'm kind of getting the same, not flavor-wise, but impression-wise. Like, it's good enough, but probably not something I would buy again. I find that the case to be with these kitchen sink blends, oftentimes, none of them really stand out as a wow kind of a moment because they've got a lot of stuff going on, but unless you blend them in correctly, no one thing is really going to punch through. And so you kind of end up with just a middle of the road kind of tobacco. Pleasant, tasty, but not anything where you're like, ooh, wow, I can see this very easily being an all-day smoke because, I mean, I'm getting nothing real punchy about it at all. Yeah, I'm saying I only get the Orientals and the Retrohale and nowhere else. Yeah, this could be an all-day smoke because you wouldn't have to think about it. Initial impressions anyway. Once I get through the bowl, things may change. Who knows? And if so, I will keep you updated. But definitely not enough Latakia to push an engine uphill. So, in any case, so on this most recent trip out, I had the opportunity to finish my book on Tolkien's letters. You can read, biographies of people and so on and so forth and get a lot of factual information, but the best way to really get a sense of who they are is through their personal correspondence. There's a lot of letters in this book. I mean, you can see the size of the book. And there's a big chunk of the appendices in the back, references and so forth. I'm really worried about that battery dying on me. But for the most part, they're letters. They're personal letters. Everything that he wrote. And, not everything he wrote, but a great deal. And because of that, you really get a sense of who he was. The stuff that he went through, his perspective on things. I mean, as I was reading this, I was thinking how awesome it was that I was really getting to know this person a little bit better. This author who I've, held in very high regard for decades. I was also a bit saddened, though, because it really brought home the fact that generations after that, certainly my generation and after, but even maybe going back one generation, like starting with the boomers and going forward, you're not going to have that kind of written correspondence to look back on. I mean, you'll have, archived emails perhaps, but nothing to that degree where you would sit and really take time and think about what you're writing. And he had carbon copies, he typed for a while when he had problems with his hand with arthritis, but to sit there and write multiple page letters and put the time and the effort into it, you really think about what you're writing and you're not wasting a lot of space. And there's a reason they stopped teaching cursive in grade schools, because people just don't write letters anymore. And so that kind of prime source research doesn't really exist. The closest thing we have in a modern world is like tweets, and really those are usually, they're sound bites of communication. It's a few sentences. It's not a multiple page handwritten letter. So are we really, in generations to come, going to be able to look back on the last 20, 30, 40 years of life here on Earth and really understand what people were really going through? I mean, podcast, I guess, and blogs and YouTube channels will be a source, but that's assuming that those medias survive. But we're not going to have letters. We just won't. I mean, there's just not that um, preponderance of written communication any longer. And I think that's A, it's sad. And I think B, I think it could be dangerous. They say if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. Well, we have the opportunity to learn from history. We just usually don't, through choice, through ignorance, right? Future generations won't even really have that choice. They won't be able to look back on, the letters of, whatever political leaders are in charge right now or military leaders are in charge right now, and really understand who it was that they were as people and how they came to the decisions that they came to. They're only going to see what these people have wanted them to see. And I think that, that's it's a significant problem. There's really no way to address it either. I tried to establish written communication with some friends overseas and get into a habit of letter writing. And I wrote 5 or 6 times to a few different people, and I got one response. And other than that, they send me messages on WhatsApp. So is it a lost art? Yeah. Will it ever come back? I don't know. People have also said pipe smoking is lost, and here we are. But some of the things you learn in personal correspondence, I think, is important. If you never read this, it's edited collection of his letters, and you're a fan of Tolkien, you should check it out. I was really surprised to learn that, I guess I shouldn't have been, that, he never saw a whole lot of the wealth from his books, even though they were extremely popular and sold like hotcakes while he was alive. There was no vast amounts and vast stores of wealth. I'm sure the estate now is. But back then, towards the end of his life, he relied on Merton College to give him a free apartment to live in. He was forced to move a couple of times because of finances. He had to work well into his late 70s just to pay the bills, and he hated income tax. So if you needed another reason to like Tolkien, there you go. But in any case, well, I'm going to continue studying this tobacco. I will give you any reports I have. I will say that as I've gotten further into the bowl now, the Orientals and the Brake are showing up. We are about 10 minutes in, and yeah, okay, they're starting to get there now. So yeah, I have an entirely different report the next time I see you. In the meantime, I have a bunch of videos to get caught up on since I'm out of the wilderness now and have access to electronics. And shouldn't be taking any more trips in the near future. I'll be taking a holiday here in a couple weeks to move the oldest out of college for the summer. But apart from that, I should be back, and I'll see you again next Friday. So until then, as always, happy reading.